Okay, welcome everyone to the meeting of the City Services Committee meeting, 2nd July 2025. First up on the agenda is apologies. We have one late apology from Matt, Councillor Matt Carey. Apology being received. Another seconder, yes, completely. All in favour? Yeah, aye. You're about 5 minutes late. Right. Second up, declaration of interest. Elected members declare their interest on any items on the agenda. To Lisa. Item 3, public forum. We don't have anyone in public forum. So we'll move to item 4, the first part of our agenda, community services report. I'll ask Director updates.
If I can, through you, Chair, I have an email here from a member of the public that couldn't make the meeting that wanted to comment on something in the report.
Thank you.
I'm unable to attend the City Services meeting on the 2nd of the 7th, 25, but would like to highlight number 14. I want to highlight this to say thank you to the library for supporting UHAG. Thank you for the staff's feedback on the Eliza display. Each time I went into the library, I saw that it had been explored by a library client. Thank you. Autism in Upper Hutt is here to stay, and by supporting families and sharing information like the library did, it makes loving someone with autism and being autistic in the community easier. Adding a quick plug on UHAG, we are now 7 years old, starting in 2018 from a Facebook post, and then a support meeting at the Cosy Club that June. Now we have 3 support meetings for carers, 2 events for autistic adults, and 2 art groups for whānau. Our supports and events are free for families and create awesome artwork. Finally, autism rocks and rolls and flaps and spins and might just teach you something awesome about the world. And that's from Judy Huxadup.
Great to hear. Thank you. Any other updates at all tonight?
Report S.
Okay,
Right. Presented, Chair.
Item 4, questions from
No question, but can you just thank Judy for that?
Yeah.
Really nice. Thanks, Judy.
I've just got one on the library there. Just on the figure on item 22, got the mobile library, and I see it's quite a deficit of 36%. Could you explain why it's so low?
Certainly, Chair, with reduced staff numbers, sickness and unavailability through leave, etc., there has been less use of the mobiles this year compared to this time last year. And remembering this is for April of 2025, so at the same time, the previous year we had been out and the mobiles have been used a lot more, but we had a couple of extra staff that we don't have currently.
Councillor Holdens.
Thank you, Chair, through you. I just want to go look at the playgrounds that are being established, so the new playground at Wallaceville and Silverstream upgrade and Timberley Park upgrade. Have we considered or can we have a look at the feasibility of having one of our community playgrounds, wherever that might be, fenced? We have, I've certainly had people approach me requesting that at least one of our Upper playgrounds have a fence around it that allows for accessibility for people, like you mentioned, Judy, and UHAG, so for people with autistic kids who have various needs, people with multiple children of different age groups that they're trying to juggle, and also for well-being for parents to be able to have a space where they can relax and not be always on. And I think it would be a great time while we're starting to do this to have a look at least one of our playgrounds to have fencing around it.
Do you have an idea which one? Or?
I don't, and I think that, Chair, I think that parents will travel to a place where they can actually take children to a fenced playground. I've even had Lower Hutt people ask me if we have one here that they can travel to have that. So I leave it up to council officers to have a look at which would be the easiest, best to do that.
And through you, Chair, happy to have a chat to the team about what others do and how that might be implemented in other parts of New Zealand or even overseas, and then what might be appropriate to do within a
Yeah, just to add on to what Councillor Holden has said, I've had suggestions of being probably the hardest one to do, but Maidstone don't match just because of how accessible Park Street is to that, and it's such a high speed zone.
Yes.
And the kids can just so easily just run off. There's not much setback from the road. But that would obviously be one of the harder ones. And another one that's very similar is Silver Street Park. People kind of hoon up Blue Mountains Road and go at some pace, and there's not much gap between the park and the road. There's the footpath there, but if the kid got some speed, yeah, they'd easily get on.
through you, certainly Maidstone Park was considered.
Yeah.
And that's why the young children's area is closer to the sports hub is away from the road. And yeah, but the opportunity to do other parks, certainly we'll look into it.
It's more the one, yeah, as I say, it's just the ones that are so accessible to the road. Other ones where you kind of drive to and park your car, it's a bit different. Yeah.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I just wanted to add to that discussion, is there still a playground in Tararua Street? And there used to be one next to the community house. And that was already fenced on three sides, you know, and it's only the frontage that would need fencing, but I don't know if that playground still exists. I haven't.
Through you, Chair, I can check, but I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that was before it became the community hub.
It was
a
before,
kidney,
okay.
and there was a playground out the back of that.
Right,
But that's now it's a mosque. So,
Okay. Yeah.
And it's not council.
thank you.
Just on 47 where we stayed here, the tagging was Stover and Perth. Well-known taggers throughout the region. Well, do the police still have a register? I mean, if they're well-known taggers, and I'm sure the police would be involved in them.
Through you, Chair, I've been asked this question, we haven't checked with the police whether they are known. I suspect that both of them are, and certainly our relationship with the police 2 or 3 years ago, there was a particular policeman that's no longer here in Upper Hutt that knew every tagger's tag and who they were, how old they were, where they lived, etc. But that hasn't sort of been in evidence over the last few years, but I can certainly follow up.
Yeah, because I thought they had where they get a number of tags saying they've got a bit of a register. It's worth having a look.
And certainly the first one there, and I don't want to highlight it, is that there is some over in Plympton, close to my house, with that particular tag.
It's not you doing it here, Mike.
Councillor Ultra?
Through you, Chair, on point 8, Kai Network, I was wondering about in terms of food resilience and the collaboration with community, are there any working groups or meetings that councillors and the general public can also attend around that issue?
Through you, Chair, there are numerous Kai groups that meet both within the Hutt Valley, regionally and locally. Certainly they're open invitation to all community groups and people that might be interested in the Kai space.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, there's a charitable trust in the process of being set up to solve sustainable food sources in Upper Hutt. So watch this space. I'm a founding trustee.
Just got one last one for me, on 23, H2O. A little bit premature, finish of June wasn't good as the last 2 months. You had them.
Through you, Chair, not sure, but I would suspect that will be very close to the main numbers.
Yeah.
Certainly, and July will probably be a little bit higher based on the school holidays occurring in July.
Keep it going.
Councillor.
Through you, Chair, do we have any updates on the Hapai building that the roof was due to be finished by June? I know it's only just past that time, but just wondered if there's any updates to that?
Through your chair, if you look out the window, you'll find that the wrap is now off, the roof is completed and the scaffolding is coming down.
Oh, wow, brilliant. Under budget?
Well under budget, Chair.
Councillor Holderness.
Thanks, Chair, through you. Sorry, just back to the H2O numbers. I'm just wondering how they compare, obviously, 24 isn't there, but to when we actually had H2O open, how does it compare?
Through your chair, around those sorts of months, we were looking around about 15 to 17,000. So, and we struggled to get 200 through in a year. And if we continue with these numbers, we'll be closer to 300,000 a year than the 200.
Right, thanks.
Any further questions? No. I'll move the report we received. Another seconder. Any cutting? All in favour?
Right.
That's. We'll move on to item 5, operations group report. I'll ask the director. The updates.
Through your chair, so I'll just take the report as read, but will note that for the Whitehaven stream, point 24, so that the reports have gone through Greater Wellington, council committees and council and been endorsed, so they're now just travelling, same reports travelling through our process, so they've been supportive of the 12-month pause and reinvestigation of options for the stages 3 to 5 of Whitehaven. But if it answers any questions that can on the balance of the report.
Ultra.
So through you, Chair, so how many houses could that potentially still affect if there was heavy flooding in the area? So in the upstream from where the works are currently finished?
I'd have to, through Chair, I'd have to check on that. It was in the report that was tabled to the subcommittee around the number of properties that were initially at risk and the number that have been alleviated from the flooding due to stages 1 and 2. But I can get those numbers and just recirculate that role.
Councillor Bentley.
Thank you, Chair. Just on number 8, the new road maintenance contract. I assume it's going to be an open tender out to market.
Yes, through Mr. Chair, it's out there now. It's on government electronic tendering exits at the moment. So we're working through, we've got interactives happening now. We've got good interest, about 14 companies interested, and I think about 6 or 7 moving through the interactive process. So very positive.
It's just one follow-up on question. Do we always tend to go for just pick one company, or would we ever look at sharing the work out and then get into, especially if we're switching from a long-standing road maintenance provider to newer guys, maybe try out?
So through Mr. Chair, so the suite of works in the roading area is split up already into different types of contracts. This one is for road maintenance and sign maintenance. So we've brought those two together, but we have a number of other lighting contracts. We've got drainage works and things. So there is a split naturally already. And
You wouldn't have, say, a group, I'd hate to use a term, like a panel of contractors that you would then each kind of job they can then bid on it.
through Mr. Chair, it's not significant or sufficient enough value. It's a $2 million contract, so it's just not big enough to be able to do that.
Yeah.
To be fair.
That's fair. Thank you.
Councillor Holderness.
Thank you, through 36, the reports on the sustainability stimulus front. Obviously, a couple of good news things. I mean, our uniforms and what they've been doing and pest-free Upper Hutt. I'm just wondering how we're communicating that out.
Through Mr. Chair, so we haven't gone out, I don't think, and put things through the communication process yet. So this was a check-in through our sustainability team. They're going to come and workshop some of this in this month, I think. We're in July now, in July. So we'll do a workshop and then we'll look at whether council want to go and visit
to any of these and then communicate out the results from there. We just wanted to be able to share some of that stuff and then get out and get the good results out there.
Through your chair, point 9, the land transport services, the works, the NZTA, we lost that funding for the bus stops and the pedestrian crossings. And it says here that works will progress post-winter. Why do pedestrian crossings have to be done after the winter? Is there any work that can be done before that time?
Mr. Chair, so there's two things in there. One is the pedestrian crossings do require construction, so there'll be construction of the push out curbs and things like that. So I tend to try and do that after the wetter months, just to be able to not be constructing in winter. So it isn't just the paint in the pedestrian crossings, there's a bit of construction that goes with them as well, and there might be a pedestrian refuge. If we do the one out here, for example, we'll construct the refuge in the middle of the road to allow you to stop, but people don't stop. So there is still some construction activity that has to happen. And secondly, it's just bandwidth and the capacity of the team. We're working through the tender process and just trying to do everything all at once. It's just not possible. We just need to work through methodically, and things like the Blue Mountains bus stop's got much more construction activity with it, and it's just winter. And it's not a good go and try and construct now. We made it, but weather turned again or something. We would just
Thank you.
get a bit of grief.
Councillor Holdens.
So that just prompted also a discussion on deconstructing.
Yes.
Because the one out here is causing issues, and I'm just wondering where we're at the one that was and is being painted over on the corner here. I saw a near miss happen the other day that could have been quite significant because people, especially in the rain, are still able to see it, and it still looks like a pedestrian crossing.
Through you, Mr. Chair, so you've got that email and you'll see out there now that there's cones and some Tiger Tails just barricading it off, and we're getting some signs constructed to put up to say crossing closed. And then we're just going to look at the mechanics of what's the process for for formally removing a crossing. And then we'll either sandblast the markings off or look at some, even when you do that, I mean, you would have seen around when you sandblast them up, they still are visible, which is, it's tricky. It is, so we're going to try and see, and it's a really tricky crossing because of its line of sight from the schools. So we might also use some of the funds that were allocated for the through that looking at the H2O crossings to put a barricade around there to really physically stop. Maybe have to jump over it, but we'll just do a bit of work around whether that's the right thing to do and what's the formal way of revoking a crossing.
Just on the deconstruction part, it comes up in the director's next report about Duck Pond Trail. Now, I know we're doing information to say we can't use that trail and blocking that off. But for deconstruction work, is it feasible to actually dismantle it, or is it just not available?
So in your area, the Duck Pond Trail?
Sorry?
Duck Pond Trail?
Duck Pond Trail?
Through your chair, yes, we are blocking that off more firmly with concrete blocks, etc. More signage, and then improving the trail down to the duck pond in there. So we're going through that process at the moment. So the track will still be there, but will be unable to be accessed and will be unable to be used because of the danger of falling rocks.
Saying that you block it off and most people would use that, the other people that try to get onto it and people get Narrogate Bridge there, it's blocked off, but people still can all the capacity. So is it just not feasible to actually dismantle that whole pathway? Is it just too expensive?
Through your chair, it's on private land, so it doesn't belong to us. A large part of it, and the slip side is on private land, and that's half of the issue. It's some of it's ours, and some of it is private land. And we're gonna form the landowners the geotechnical report we got on that, I think. Right. And we can put the blocks up and we're gonna put signage up and danger of et cetera, but ultimately if someone really wants to climb over the top and get onto it. But we have done everything that we can to alert the public to the unsafe nature of that walkway, cycleway.
Thank you, Chair. Both on page 18, I've got two questions. Well, one actually about the comment just on paragraph 30 about the 15 open water leads. In my 6 years on council, it's probably the lowest I can remember, so that's really good. And just wanted to props to the team for that, and to our soon-to-be former friends Wellington Water. And then my actual question is on paragraph 34, the e-waste collection event. It sounds like it was a bit of a roaring success. Just wanted to, and it says a repeat event is being considered, which is great. Just wanted to know, is there any cost to that for council, or is it something that the providers actually sustainably fund themselves?
So through Mr. Chair, so my understanding is there is a event being or was run on the weekend through Upper Hutt College. That's independent of us. It happened. We're just going to try and track down a same provider, but through the college. And for that event, we did pay $5,000 to the organiser of the event to support getting them here and helping out to keep that working. So as I say, it was a significant success. We expected a lot less than that. I think they were quite overwhelmed, which was really positive.
Just add one last comment to that, Chair. Yeah, I think that's the same we should absolutely be supporting, and it'd be a great area of the waste levy to be spent on, I imagine. Because e-waste is just going to get a bigger and bigger problem. So if we can divert as much as possible, it'd be fantastic.
Through Chair, point 22, which is under the Seaview Wastewater Treatment Plant, on the replacement of the sludge dryer, that work is obviously continuing unless you have an update to that. How much wet sludge has been transported to the landfill, and how is the landfill coping with the wet sludge as opposed to normally getting it dry?
So through Mr. Chair, so the transporting of wet sludge for the landfill occurred when the dryer was getting undertaking some maintenance in May, is my understanding. I'd have to find out how much was transported there. The maintenance went extremely well and a shorter time frame than expected, and the dryer back up and running. So it was only a short amount of time that wet sludge was transported. Point 22 is around the larger program that we've had that joint workshop with Hutt City Council, and talked about the longer term project for replacement of the dryer, and that's progressing. And through the process now, we're expecting a price to come in October, November this year for that piece of work to be considered and move forward from there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just to be finicky on one little point, on attachment 6, page 28, under May 25, it's got decisions made within statutory time frame 21, decisions made over statutory time frame 1, but saying centred within statutory time frame 9%. I think you've sold yourself short there. I think it's a bit higher.
Fair enough.
Yep, others for. Don't want to drag the stats down.
Councillor Hammond?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Back to 4 to 7, the Act therapy, that this is regarding project 1 to 2. When are we looking at 3 and 4, the other side of the development of Agatera?
Chair, back to Mike.
Through you, Chair, there are some plans for 3 and 4. We've got a set budget, and it's determining first how far that set budget will get us along the various stages.
Quite expensive, isn't it? Quite expensive. Quite expensive.
Just on 23, Western Hills Trunk Sewer clarification. So our part of the cost is about 30%.
Yeah, it's but just, yeah, and around 30%, 30 point something percent. It's just where the government flows, but it is around 30%.
Okay, that's good. Right. You go.
It is worth highlighting that my understanding is that was $5 million worth of work and 2 million of it was traffic management, is that right? Close to something like that, it was ridiculous, wasn't it?
That was my understanding.
I mean,
It's,
you can see what things are out of control in this country.
Yeah.
So government trying to step down on that now.
Well, they've had 18 months.
Yeah. Keep cracking. Let's take a stop sign.
I mean, Councillor Alter?
Madam Chair, so under emergency management, point 61 on the community emergency hubs that Remo were running community workshops on. Do we know how many members of the public attended the emergency hubs, the little training sessions that Remo were running? Are we able to find out what sort of turnout from the community we had?
Mr. Chair, yeah, I can find out, our emergency management, is on leave this week, so,
Okay,
I'll ask her when she's back next week.
great,
To
thank you.
get that information and get it through to you.
Any further questions? No further questions? Right, as you will see, we've got two recommendations on there. I'll take them together as three. Now we move to Councillor Bentley, seconder, that's the ordinance. Put to the vote, all in favour?
Aye.
Passed. We shall move along to the final report to report on the open strategy plan. Ask the director, any updates at all?
Just through you, Chair, just one update, I mean, because of the nature of the timing for when we submit these reports, it's a bit of a delay, so just an update on paragraph 12 in terms of the Makariki celebration and the events that we held. We held 4 workshops through that period, and I'm just really pleased to report back that they're all oversubscribed. There's actually a wait list, so you know, really good events that were held, and certainly next year we'll be looking to potentially expand that as well. But other than that, let's take this through.
I'll start it off just on 14, the digital part.
Yes.
With Facebook, you had a 50% increase in engagement through just changing it with fewer humorous posts and post a few videos. Firstly, I think it's great because you get engagement with people. I guess there'd be people out there saying, you know, I just want facts and that, and you might have it down. But I'd like to look at the glass half full and say, you know, the people are engaged in it and trying to get that balance of not being too humorous, but having the facts and a few different things in there. So I like to say that's great to see and carry it on. And if people, I assume people are very much the same, I don't know.
Great.
But that's how I feel anyway.
Okay, well, thank you, Chair, and your colleagues for that. I'll certainly pass that on to the team behind it. Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? Other questions? No? Got a mover, Councillor Bentley, got a seconder, Councillor Hammond, all in favour? Aye. Done. And we'll close the meeting at 4:59. Thank you, everyone.
That's pretty